over here, there's no fire. Gotta get off the freeway, there's no fire. There's a fire over here, gotta get off the road. There's a fire over here, there's a fire over here. Fire over here, here's a fire. There's a fire on over here, there's a fire. Whew. Yeah, this was a smart move. Should have got off the freeway when I had a chance. Fire! So to wrap up August, and I think I'm going to introduce a new subject for September, and my subject is going to be Civil War. I hope that I could address a couple things, but just to give a quick kind of synopsis of what's going to happen in my vlogging for September. I'm going to work on the S10 Blazer 4x4 and do some videos on that. I'm gonna try to do one video of some social commentary, and then do some video on the S10, because I'm hoping that I'll be able to find an oil pan for that vehicle. But I'm gonna do an inspection of the timing chain. I'm gonna do some video on that, and hopefully it will be entertaining and infotainment. That's what I like to do, some infotainment. It's information in an entertaining way. But to wrap up August, like I've been trying to wrap it up, but there's so many other subjects that come up to mind, is the very interesting thing about January. January 2020 was more of the lawfare. See, lawfare is when they use the law to fight a war, and January was the beginning of it. February was the end of the lawfare, and that didn't really get anywhere. Trump was impeached in the House, but wasn't impeached in the Senate. And interestingly enough, if you know, a couple years ago when the House went to Democrats, that just emboldened them to go ahead and make these accusations against Donald Trump with what he's doing with his administration, which really
here's my message to Bob Mueller. I'm glad the investigation has been concluded. I'm glad that we can move forward now as a country. There's a lot of good things that can happen in Congress. I mean, I'm a big advocate of comprehensive immigration reform, for instance, and I think, you know, the idea that there's going to be these ongoing congressional oversight hearings on something that's been delved into, and just look at the numbers: 2,800 subpoenas, 500 search warrants, 230 orders of communication records, 50 orders authorizing pen registries, 13 requests to foreign governments, and over 500 witnesses. For the Congress to go over all that again, to me, it's a waste of money. It's political. Let's get on with the people's business.
All right,
that's
Jay,
the message I'd like to send.
Message received. Jay Sekulow, thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
And then in March, biological warfare. April, more biological warfare. And I don't need to know, I don't need to tell you what I mean by biological warfare, because 6 months later, 5 months, 6 months later, there hasn't been as many deaths as they said.
To China's biological weapons program or not, I think China is now taking the view that it wants to emerge out of the coronavirus crisis more successful than any of the democracies. And it's working very hard to do that. It's trying to find strategic advantage of this and some advantage in the possibility that they have come out of this a month or two ahead of other countries. So therefore, what can they do in the developing world, for example, to now present themselves as the saviours of small countries with battling coronavirus? So, you know, China is looking for strategic advantage, which of course is what it always does.
Now we see that with...
And then May, class warfare. You can see that, the class warfare, you know, you got the law versus the lawless. June, more class warfare. The law and order versus the lawless. And then you have anti-American warfare.
Closing corporate loopholes. You are a nerd crowd. There's no doubt in my mind. By the way, not only is closing corporate loopholes and raising the marginal tax rate class warfare, it totally wouldn't even work.
You can tax rich people all you want, and you're not going to solve our problem.
The idea that if we raise taxes, as the president said, on millionaires and billionaires, raise taxes on oil companies, raise taxes on owners of private jets, that somehow is going to make a difference.
The president wants to raise the top two income tax rates, which would raise about $700 billion over 10 years. You know what? That's only a tiny fraction of the federal government's deficit.
$700 billion over 10.
In July, you have more anti-American warfare in August. September, I think we're going to see more law and order versus. It's more like this. We're going to have a law and order versus law and order of, like, you got divine law and then you got man-made law, and we're going to see that's going to happen in the next couple months. Right now I'm making this video at the almost beginning of September, so these are all my predictions, and yeah, my predictions aren't very good, and I've been having some dreams.
To be an American where not all folks are free, and I won't forget the enslaved who died and built this place for free. So I proudly lift up all the folks who are still oppressed today, 'cause there ain't no doubt this ain't up.
Not happy, you can leave.
Some really bad dreams lately, and I'm not even going to get into it because dreams are probably just my personal psychology and the way that I look at the world and the events and everything that's been really rough for me. And so that's September and October. And November and December, I believe what's going to be is full-blown civil war. So, you know, if you're armed and if you're armed and rational, you know, get your practice in, collect your ammo and all that stuff. It's kind of far-fetched to think that's going to happen, but if you see what's happening in the streets today, there's like actually gun battles now. So December's more full-blown civil war, and then 2021, no.
Oh, We'll be right back.